Do you know which are the safest small towns in America? If you guess some wealthy gated communities, you'd probably be right. The problem is, that safety comes with a very large price tag. So us common folks have to do a little research to find that perfect small town for retirement or really just life in general that doesn't require an 8-digit investment portfolio. That's right, we scoured the country looking for the safest and affordable towns to retire. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Rosendale, New York. Tucked right between Albany and New York City, you'll find the cozy town of Rosendale. With a population of under 6,000 residents, this place is small, historic, and proudly weird in an upstate New York type of way. Once upon a time, Rosendale had an official village center around Main Street, but in 1977, the locals voted to dissolve it. Why? Maybe they were done with all the paperwork. What's left is a laid-back town with roots deeper than the cement mines it was literally built on. Rosendale's kind of got a lot of history. This little Hudson Valley gem was originally inhabited by the Lenape people before a Dutch settler named Jacob Roeston showed up in 1680. He bought about 600 acres. By 1844, Rosendale officially became a town. Basically, they, kind of combined a few different communities that were in the area. Called it a town. Now, if you've ever been to New York and been on the Brooklyn Bridge or admired the Statue of Liberty, you've already had a brush with Rosendale, even if you didn't know it. During the 19th century, Rosendale was famous for producing natural cement. Not just your basic cement either, this is the good stuff. The kind you use when you build the pedestal for Lady Liberty and parts of the US Capitol. Its reputation was so rock solid by the late 1800s, Rosendale was America's cement capital. Eventually cheaper options took over and the industry declined. But you could still tour the old mines to this day. They've been repurposed for mushroom farming. Yes, that, film sets, and even Iron Mountain's secure data storage vaults. So why you should care about Rosendale? Well, if you're eyeballing retirement, Rosendale isn't just an old cement town. It's a hidden gem for folks looking to retire somewhere peaceful, historic, and kind of artsy without the stress of a major city. Retiring in Rosendale comes with a lot of perks. First of all, you've got a rich art scene. For a town its size. You also have the Rosedale Theater, a beloved single-screen theater that first opened on February 18th, 1949. Now, it looks like it shows older movies only these days. They probably couldn't update their system, which is terribly expensive, and studios quit sending out the film. It's all digital now, and that's terribly expensive. So this week, they're playing things like George Lucas's THX 1138, or Unforgiven's playing this week, The Doors. But it's still neat just to go there and watch a film that is actually on film. And you won't have to worry about getting murdered while you're leaving the theater. You know why? Because their crime rate is 47% below the national average. And like I said, as far as affordability goes, their home prices aren't the cheapest, but it's a nice place to live. The average home value right now is about $410,000, which is about $50,000 below the national average. Number 9, Greenbrier, Arkansas. If you ever find yourself cruising Highway 65 about 12 miles north of Conway, Arkansas, you'll stumble upon a place called Greenbrier, a town with a surprisingly colorful past for somewhere that sounds like it was named after a shrub. And well, to be honest, it kind of was. The town took its name from the Greenbrier vines that used to snake all along the local creek. But what started as a minor pit stop, complete with a brothel on the old Butterfield stagecoach route, eventually grew into a legit community with its own zip code and everything. Greenbrier's roots stretch all the way back to 1818 when settlers began staking claims in the area. Back then, it wasn't even called Greenbrier. It went by the name of Mooresville. That changed in 1857 with a post office and the first postmaster named Henderson Moore. Apparently, he didn't like his own last name, so he decided to spice things up a bit and changed it to Greenbrier. By the time it was officially incorporated in 1880, Greenbrier had about 300 residents. Not bad for a place that started as a dusty rest stop, where you could purchase hourly company. The surrounding townships were bigger, but Greenbrier was clearly holding its own. Fast forward to 1905, and the town had become a full-blown small-town success story. 8 general stores, 4 cotton gins, 3 churches, a steam-powered sawmill, and even a 6-room schoolhouse. not to mention a shingle mill, because why not? That's what you do when you live out here. The population then was about 350 people, and Greenbrier was buzzing. These days it's evolved into more of a bedroom community for Conway, but its history still lingers, just like those Greenbrier vines that gave the place its name. Greenbrier has a crime rate that is 49% below the national average, and the average home here only goes for $271,000. Perfect for retirement, plenty of things to do. Number 8, Bellevue, Ohio. If you're dreaming of retiring somewhere with a slower pace, rich history, and actual bird song instead of traffic noise, Bellevue, Ohio might just be the spot. This small town sits between Cleveland and Toledo, offering access to big city amenities without the big city chaos. It's also about 30 minutes south of one of the best amusement parks in the US, Cedar Point. Now, this is another cold place to live during the winters, but you know what? Very warm places are very, very expensive and usually not that safe. But Bellevue is not just another quiet Midwestern town. It's got some surprising historical bragging rights. It was once home to Henry Morrison Flagler, co-founder of Standard Oil and the guy who basically put in Florida's railroads. His former home now lives on as part of the Mad River NKP Railroad Museum, perfect for retirees that have a soft spot for trains or American industrial history. Retirement in Bellevue comes with some perks: affordable homes, low crime, nearby healthcare, and just enough going on to keep you entertained. Think diners, community events, and peaceful parks. Plus, Lake Erie is close enough for weekend adventures. If you want a retirement spot that's peaceful, affordable, and rooted in American history, Bellevue should be on your radar. The crime rate in Bellevue is 53% below the national average, and the average home value here is about $175,000. Number 7, Davison, Michigan. If you're not from Michigan, there's a good chance you've never heard of Davidson, and that's kind of its charm. Just outside of Flint, Davidson is a town that quietly avoids the chaos while still managing to hold its own. With a population under 6,000, it's the kind of place where local gossip centers around high school football teams and a new Dollar General, not crime reports, and not gridlock traffic. Davidson is surprisingly ideal for retirement. It's affordable, peaceful, and low on pretension. Home prices usually fall under what most people call reasonable range, which means you can actually own a house without torching your retirement savings, which in this day and age is kind of refreshing. And if buying isn't your thing, there are plenty of budget-friendly rentals and senior living options that won't send you into financial cardiac arrest. Healthcare covered. You're near Flint, but not too near. So you've got easy access to solid hospitals without the big city headaches, especially the nonsense in Flint. Flint is a nightmare. When you move to Davidson, you'll learn that firsthand. People will tell you, and they'll explain you should go there, get your doctor's appointment done, and then come back. On top of all that, Davidson delivers the classic Midwestern nice experience. People wave, the diner staff knows your order, the local parks are quiet and well kept, and in the summer there's a farmer's market that feels like something out of a Hallmark movie. If you're dreaming of a relaxing, wallet-friendly place to ride out your golden years, Davidson might be that hidden gem you just don't know about yet. Whenever I do these videos, I like to look at the local news, and that tells you a lot about what's really going on in a town. I mean, you've got to look at the stats first, which the crime rate in Davidson is really low. But then you look at the local news to see what kind of crime is happening there. There is none. There was a pretty bad car accident 3 weeks ago, and the rest is obituaries of older folks. Not people that were caught up in a shooting at a liquor store. Nothing like that. That's one thing I would advise you to do. If you're thinking about moving to a city or a town or anything like that, look at the news. What's being reported on in that town? If they're talking about new stop signs and a new car wash opening and nothing else but that and obituaries maybe, gonna be a pretty safe place to live. But Davidson's crime rate is 57% below the national average. And that is not bad. And their average home value is $241,000. Number 6, Beaver, Pennsylvania. I like it already. Beaver is a small riverside borough about 30 miles northwest of Pittsburgh with a population of just over 4,000 residents. I drove through here years ago, probably, 12, 13 years ago. They have a really cool, railroad station there. The only reason we ended up there is because I saw a sign for Vanport, which we used to have a city or a town in Oregon called Vanport, but it got flooded out and now it's gone. Anyway, so I saw the sign. I'm okay, we'll pull over and get something to eat here. And we Drove around for a while, got out, looked around in Beaver. It was kind of cool place. It might be small, but it is packed with history and charm, making it a low-key gem for retirees. Back in the day, the area was home to the Shawnee, before being swept up in the chaos of the French and Indian War. During the Revolutionary War, Fort McIntosh was built here, later becoming home to the 1st American Regiment, the oldest active unit in the U.S. Army. The town officially took shape in 1792, becoming the county seat in 1800. And of course, like so many towns, it really started to grow when the railroad showed up in 1879. For retirees, Beaver checks all the boxes. It's quiet, safe, and walkable, with charming streets and a riverfront view. You're close enough to Pittsburgh for city perks, but far enough away to enjoy peaceful small-town living. It's also got plenty of green spaces, and it's considered tax-friendly. I like towns like this because you're close enough, like some of the other ones, to a major hospital if you have problems, but you're far enough away from the city where you don't have to deal with all the BS. And that's great for retirement. It's great for life in general, especially these days. I'm a good distance out of Portland, Oregon. I just wish I could make that distance a little further. The crime rate in Beaver is 62% below the national average, and the average home value here, it's only $249,000. Number 5, Noblesville, Indiana. Tucked away into the northern suburbs of Indianapolis along the White River, Noblesville, Indiana is a place that manages to blend small-town charm and big city access. Now, this city has kind of a large population. I know we're talking about small towns. This is basically a little above a town. It's got about 70,000 residents, but there's a difference here. Noblesville is a really nice small town, but they've added a whole bunch of homes on the outskirts over the last couple decades. So there's a whole lot of different communities that have sprung up. But downtown and Noblesville itself is kind of what I'm talking about on this one. Because their downtown is cute, has that old school feeling. You know, it hasn't been taken over by monstrosities. There's still old brick buildings everywhere. It's a beautiful town. This town reminds me of the grown-up version of Mayberry. So if you're looking for a place where you can enjoy life and retirement or just life at all and not feel like you were dropped off in the middle of nowhere, Noblesville might be worth a look. The town is perhaps best known for being home to the Ruoff Music Center, an enormous outdoor amphitheater that's been drawing major touring acts since 1989. If live music under the stars is your kind of thing, the venue's got your retirement date nights covered. And if you think it's one of those places that just shows like cover bands or up-and-coming bands, no, they got some older, popular bands and even some newer ones. Avril Lavigne's Greatest Hits, that's a show that's coming there. Mumford & Sons, which I'd advise going to see that anytime. Dave Matthews Band, The Lumineers, which I love. Cyndi Lauper's a little dated, but she's there. So is Rod Stewart on August 9th. Luke Bryan's there in late August. And here's the best show they have, September 18th. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, Sheryl Crow, and more. But Noblesville isn't just about outdoor concerts and cozy riverside scenery. It's got some serious roots. The town's history goes back over 200 years, starting when William Connor and his Lenape wife set up Indiana's first trading post. Connor's original 1823 home is now part of the Connor Prairie, a living history museum that's basically Disneyland for history buffs. Stroll through recreated 19th century villages, chat with some costume interpreters, and maybe even churn some butter. If you've never churned butter in Indiana, it's a special moment for anyone. I'm just kidding. I've never churned butter in Indiana or anywhere, but it sure does look fun. Noblesville's downtown still looks like something out of a Norman Rockwell painting, thanks to its Victorian-era buildings that were built during Indiana's gas boom in the late 1800s. The town's also got a little history of the Ku Klux Klan, which isn't great, and they also held Charles Manson in their old jail for a brief time. Now let's talk about what really matters when you're looking to retire: affordability, things to do, or whether or not you'll be bored out of your mind. The good news? Noblesville checks all the boxes. The cost of living is lower than the national average. While the housing market has grown along with its population, you can still snag a comfortable home without selling everything you own on eBay. Healthcare? Check. Proximity to major airports? Check. Big city culture within 30-minute drive to Indianapolis? Absolutely. Yet Noblesville still feels safe, peaceful, and a place to settle down or retire. The calendar is full of festivals, farmers markets, and live music at local parks, like I talked about earlier. In short, Noblesville is a place that manages to honor its deep, sometimes complicated history while giving its residents, especially retirees, a modern, comfortable lifestyle. The crime rate here is 71% below the national average, and the average home value is $373,000. Their cost of living, by the way, is 8% lower than the national average. Number 4, Flatwoods, Kentucky. You know what? It's rare we talk about Kentucky on this channel. They're never quite as bad as like 10 other ones, but they're never as good as the top 20 of almost anything. Missouri's the same way. Sure, they've got some problems just like every other state. They're on the lower rung when you compare it to most states, both of them, but they're just not bad enough. But if you're looking for a peaceful and affordable place to retire, Flatwoods, Kentucky might be your best kept secret. With just over 7,000 residents, it's technically the largest city in Greenup County. But don't expect any big city chaos here. Flatwoods is a bedroom community. Most people live here but commute to nearby towns like Ashland for work. That means the town itself stays quiet, friendly, and low on traffic, making it a perfect spot to slow down and enjoy your life. Flatwoods has a pretty interesting history, starting with the Methodist community called Advanced in 1860. It was briefly named Cheap after a blind clergyman. Yes, really, that's fact. Then flipped back to Advance before finally settling on Flatwoods in 1938. The name suits the place. It sits on a rare belt of flat land in an otherwise hilly region, and it's only about 150 feet above the Ohio River. Unique terrain and low tax rates led to a boom in the 1950s and 60s, when neat rows of mid-century homes popped up to meet the demand from nearby Ashland's overflow. But it's got all the things that a retiree wants: affordability, low crime, and full of homes with charm and space, and no sticker shock. You're close enough to hospitals, shopping, and entertainment, but far enough away to never be considered a city dweller. Now here's the best part. The crime rate here is 81% below the national average, and it doesn't stop there. The average home value here is $136,000. I was poking around on Zillow. You could find plenty of really good homes between $200,000 and $220,000. Number 3, Gilberts, Illinois. Gilberts, Illinois is a small town with deep roots and quiet charm, perfect for anyone looking to retire somewhere peaceful but still connected. You're far enough away from Chicago where it's not Chicago. It's just outside of the Chicago metro area. You got a little farmland out there, but that's going away quick because homes are springing up around this area. So much so that in the 2000 census, Gilberts had 1,279 residents. 10 years later, at the 2010 census, they had just under 7,000. That's a 437% increase. 2020, they only went up 21%. Now they got 8,366. Now this town became a possibility during the War of 1812, when Native American tribes were pushed out and the European settlers moved in. By 1852, the town had gotten its name from the Gilbert family when Gilbert Station opened up on a major rail line in the area. Fast forward to 1907, and an electric railway connected Gilberts to nearby towns, though it didn't survive the Great Depression. Route 72 stepped in by 1930, and that kept the town accessible. Though small, Gilberts made headlines when George H.W. Bush stopped by during his 1988 campaign. Today, it's a quiet, affordable spot with the whole small town feel, close to Elgin and not too far from Chicago, just far enough. For retirees, this means peace and quiet without total isolation, reasonable home prices, and a community that still feels personal. Now here's where it gets good, because right away you're going to assume it's got some crime because it's close to Chicago. No, not at all. It's one of the safest small towns in the United States. Gilbert's crime rate is 90% below the national average. And the average home value, $390,000. That's not bad for a place that looks nice, is safe, and has plenty of history and things to do. Number 2, Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Plattsmouth, you ever heard of it? Probably not. But if you're looking for an affordable and safe life, and maybe even a quiet retirement, you should know about it. This town got its start way back in the 1800s, thanks to its prime location near major rivers. It was basically a hotspot for trade and travel. These days, the old Main Street still shows some serious historic charm. It's like stepping into a vintage postcard. Highlights like the Cass County Courthouse, built in 1892, and the local history museum give the town a sense of character you just don't get in newer places. But today, Plattsmouth is still doing its thing, with a mix of old school charm and just enough modern convenience to keep things comfortable. The community is tight-knit, and you'll feel it the moment you walk into places like the River House Cafe, which started out as an antique shop and turned into a cozy local hangout. Retirees are starting to catch on to what Plattsmouth has to offer. It's peaceful peaceful, friendly, and affordable with great resources for seniors. The local senior center keeps things fun with meals, games, health talks, and fitness programs. I just saw one senior center. They had 100 golden retriever puppies, 100 of them. They had rescued them from like a puppy farm or puppy mill, whatever you want to call it. Well, they took it to senior home, and the old folks there were just loving on these things. I thought it was really nice. Nice thing to see as a YouTube short. Plattsmouth is a great place to live. I mean, it's in Nebraska. Nebraska is just where you go when you want to slow things down and enjoy your life. This whole part of the country, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas. I mean, most of us, when we think of those places, we just think they're a great place to raise a family and live a nice, peaceful life. And you could do that. Plattsmouth's crime rate is also 90% below the national average, just like Gilberts, Illinois. And the average home value here is $288,000. Not bad. All right, before we get to number 1, if you have not subscribed to this channel, we would love it if you did. Also, don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up. The way YouTube is working things, that has become terribly important to a YouTube channel, so I'd really appreciate it. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Weiser, Idaho. Nestled in the confluence of the Weiser and Snake Rivers, Weiser, Idaho is a charming small town that beautifully blends rich history with modern-day tranquility. Whether you're a history buff, nature enthusiast, or someone seeking a peaceful retirement spot, Weiser has something special to offer. Weiser's roots trace back to the late 19th century. Some believe the town was named after Peter Weiser, a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition, while others attribute the name to Jacob Weiser, a trapper and miner who discovered gold in the Florence Basin during the 1860s. The arrival of the Oregon Short Line Railroad in 1881 spurred growth, transforming Weiser into a bustling hub of agriculture and commerce. Today, the town proudly showcases its heritage through well-preserved historic buildings like the Union Pacific Train Depot and the Intermountain Institute's Hooker Hall. Hooker Hall? What? Oh, okay. It's named after a guy named Hooker. For retirees, Weiser offers an appealing blend of affordability, community, and natural beauty. I found one stat that says the cost of independent living here for retirees is around $3,444 a month. Facilities like Indian Head Estates provide assisted living options with a focus on independent and quality of life. They have a lot of this going on there. The town's serene environment, combined with access to healthcare services and recreational activities, make it ideal for a place to enjoy your golden years. You know, I find it strange they call it the golden years when really we all turn silver in the head, silver hair. Why don't they call it the silver years? That would make much more sense. The crime rate in Weiser is a remarkable 103% below the national average. That's insane. The lowest I've ever seen on any of these charts is 120% below the national average. I'm sure there's others that might be lower, I just haven't run across them yet. The average home value in Weiser is $330,000. Safe, affordable, and great air quality. What more could you want? All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.